Hey, Who fans, welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And we're at episode 155.
Sorry.
Have you ever thought what it's like to be wanderers in the fourth dimension?
Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
There's no point in being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the Doctor!
Great men are forged in fire. It is the privilege of lesser men to light the flame.
I'm the Doctor. This is Rose Tyler. She's my +1. Is that all right?
That would be me.
Hello. Surprise!
Boom.
Etc.
I'm the Doctor. Do everything I tell you, don't ask stupid questions, and don't wander off.
How can you kidneys? I don't like the colour.
Howdy do, Who fans. Episode 155 is upon us. Hope you've had a cracking week and that you've managed to do something Doctor Who
Related.
Yay!
Hey!
Hey! Something Doctor Who related.
There you go. Only took 3 years.
You got there, mate. You got there. So, coming up in today's show. Still light on news, you know.
Yeah, there ain't a lot around, is there? There's not much going on.
Not really. We're into that.
It could be like this for a while, you know. I don't think that the next series is going to hit our screens for quite some time.
Yeah.
I keep hearing rumours of it being like late next year, and I'm thinking, blimey, like, yeah,
yep,
like September, August. I don't know. It's way off.
Yeah. So we've got a few months lead up to the Christmas special, obviously.
Oh yes,
where we get to see Capaldi's exit and Jodie's entrance. So I got that coming up. And then you're right. I think after that, it's going to be a few months of scraping the barrel. I think we're through to the wood almost.
Yeah.
For news and stuff. But you know what? We're here to keep you guys entertained and all that in the times where there's no new Doctor Who stuff or anything exciting going on. So, yes.
I was about to say actually it'd be quite exciting because we'll, even if there's not much news, we'll probably see little filming photos and stuff. And then I was thinking, actually, Chibbers has said he's going to cut down on that and to try and stop people going to set. So maybe we won't even get that. Like, I'm really in the middle on that because I like a little bit, but I don't like too much in terms of like spoilers and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I hope we get to see a few little filming pics or something, some little teasers. But yeah, we don't want too much. I already feel like I know half the Christmas special. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's always a danger, isn't it? Where stuff gets leaked. And then more stuff gets leaked. And then before you know it, you've built up a pretty good picture of what it's going to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, we just, I don't know. It's
I'd like to think we'd get a few little bits, a few little shots of Jodie filming.
Yeah, it's always a tricky one though with that stuff, isn't it? Because lots of people love it and they'll grab all the spoilers they can get, and other people don't want anything spoiled.
Anything at all.
Yeah, as the name would suggest. They don't want anything spoiled before they want to see it fresh and be shocked and surprised and all that, or disappointed maybe. So it's very difficult for us as well because we get a lot of people say, have you seen this? And we're like, I don't know whether to click on this or not. I don't know. So I know you don't mind spoilers too much, but...
I don't mind them too much. I must admit, it's funny because I've always said that. I always say, I don't really mind spoilers, but even I thought that there was too much ruined from the last series, so I had to sort of backtrack on that a bit. But it's very difficult to avoid them if you don't, because I know our good friend and listener Loopy Lou doesn't like spoilers, and I remember like it's very difficult, especially if you're on Twitter or anything, to avoid them because everyone just retweets stuff. So even if you manage to, you know, keep off it, you're still in danger of seeing a retweet or something. So yeah, it's difficult. Yeah.
And then we had the whole DWSR hashtag.
Yeah, see, that got a bit mad, didn't it?
Yeah, that really caused a lot of headaches, I think, in the run-up to the run-up to Series 10. It really put people's backs up because you can't really ignore it because so many people retweet and you know, and put stuff out. So because I put on my Twitter app that I use on my Mac, I muted that hashtag. after a while, because it just got to the point where so many people were retweeting it. You just can't escape. You can't, even if you say, right, I'm not going to look at stuff to do with that hashtag or anything like that. You have people that weren't necessarily tweeting using the hashtag. They were just copying and pasting and retweeting and everything. So you think, oh, crikey, how do I get away from this? So I had to mute the whole. So any tweet that contained that hashtag just gets muted now. I don't even see it. So it's a nightmare. And
even when you think it's safe, because I remember the Alpha Centauri getting ruined for me the day of the episode, because that kind of came out of nowhere. They managed to sort of keep that quite under wraps, I think. And then I just remember somebody scrolling through Twitter, and obviously you kind of, you're near the end of the series then, so you're sort of not really too worried about spoilers at that point. And then I just remember seeing someone saying, I've worked it out, Alpha Centauri is going to be in tonight's episode. I was like, well, that's very random. And then obviously as the episode progresses and all, you start to see, what's coming. I was like, oh no, I already know Alpha Centauri is going to pop up in a minute. And sure enough, it did. It's difficult, isn't it?
Very difficult.
It's difficult to avoid, yeah. Talking to Jodie Whittaker, I finished watching her latest BBC drama last night. It's one of her impersonating a doctor. So funny because there's so many lines in it that are relevant. Like she's like, I'm a real doctor now, and things like that. And I can't believe I'm a doctor. She keeps saying it, all this stuff, and it's like, it was an interesting drama. Did you watch any of it? Because it was a 4-parter, and last night's was like the big conclusion, if you like.
Yeah, no, I missed them. No, are they good?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, a bit far-fetched. Like there were so many things we were all saying through it, like, well, how would that happen? And surely she would have to get paid. How is she getting paid if she's using someone else's identity? There's lots of things that didn't really add up, but it made for quite a good piece of television. A little bit gory in places. So if any of our young viewers probably love all that gore, don't they? But I was watching a lot of it through my fingers because it's a medical drama, so a bit gory. Yeah, I don't know. It was okay. She was very good in it. Anyway, she was very good in it. I found the conclusion a bit disappointing myself, but I see a lot of people online loved it, so it seems like I'm in a bit of a minority. But yeah, she was really good in it. So
yeah, I was going to say, did you like her? Can you see?
Yes, I did. Yeah,
she's a great actress. Really, really good.
She is good, and I will say it's one of those dramas. I think like because she is good, she kind of carried it a bit for me, if you know what I mean. A bit like we sometimes to say about Matt Smith. If he's in a particularly drab episode, he's normally fun to watch. She just, because she was good in it, she was quite engaging because it was very slow in places and there wasn't a lot going on. And I kept thinking, yeah, she's, if you had somebody else in this role, this could be quite boring, this program. So that's a good sign. Do you know what I mean? She made it quite interesting. And she's definitely a good actress. So yeah. So yes, high hopes for our Jodie. I just keep, the whole time I was watching it, I just keep thinking, I was sort of trying to picture as the doctor, like when she had sort of quite dramatic scenes in it. I kept thinking, yeah, well, is this what she's going to be like as the doctor when she's getting angry and, sort of trying to judge her and think what she might be like. So yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if she'll do anything in between, because I'm guessing as soon as she starts filming, whenever the heck that is, she ain't going to have a lot of time to do anything else. So I'm just wondering if she's going to pop up in any other programs between now and Doctor Who, because I have no idea when they start filming. I don't know if you do.
No, I did hear it was going to be early next year. I think sort of
right, so probably
February
not
time.
Yeah, unless she's filmed something in between.
Yeah, maybe. Didn't Capaldi do that? Didn't Capaldi film? He had a small role in the second Paddington Bear film, didn't he?
Oh yeah, that's right. Has that actually come out? Because he was really funny in the first one.
Yeah, so that's due out soon. I think that's out at the cinema in the next month or two.
Have you seen the first Paddington?
No.
Because do you know what? That was such a surprise. I remember seeing the trailers for it thinking, oh dear, this looks bad. Because I quite liked Paddington as a kid, the TV show. The trailers for it just made it look awful. It looked really juvenile and sort of gross out humour. I was just thinking, oh dear. And then I don't know how we ended up going to see it at cinema. We probably had a voucher or something and there was probably nothing on. So I ended up going to see it at cinema. And it was one of those really pleasant surprises. It was so much fun. And Peter Capaldi is brilliant in it because he sort of plays this really grumpy but also quite likable neighbour. I think he's a neighbour that's sort of spying on them and trying to catch them out. And I'll tell you what, it's worth a watch. It's not going to blow your mind away. You're not going to come away saying that's the best film I've ever seen. But maybe because I had such low expectations as well. But I just come out of cinema saying, God, that was really fun, wasn't it? It's like a good family film. You don't get stuff like that now. That was really good. Okay. But Capaldi's good in it. So I will watch the second one just to see if it's, the same, if it's good. But I haven't seen it yet. So
cool. Yeah, I saw a trailer for it. I took the boy to see something last week. What did he want to see? Oh, the Captain Underpants movie.
Captain Underpants.
Yeah. If anyone that's got kids,
is that a real thing?
Yeah. Anyone that's got kids.
I don't even know what that is.
It's based on a really successful range of kids' books called Captain Underpants, and then it's got a really long subtitle. It was actually all right. But yeah, I saw a trailer for that, and I saw Capaldi pop up, and I thought, I remember thinking, he was in the first one as well. So that'll be out soon. But if I'm getting my timelines correct, I'm pretty sure he filmed those before he kicked off filming for Series 10. So maybe she'll do the same.
I think so.
If there's anything she wants to do, now would be the time to get it done, because as we all know, it does take up your entire life for, 10 months of the year starring in Doctor Who?
It's a big commitment, isn't it? It's a big commitment. I was just thinking, actually, it's funny because it's just come up that, so it's 3 years since Capaldi took over, and obviously he's now left. And I was just thinking, feels like a really short run, even though I know, like, Matt did 3 years, didn't he? Did Matt 3 series? I think did he do 4? It seems really short. I kind of feel like we had this great Doctor, and as much as I am really excited for Jodie and this new start to the show and stuff, but I don't know. I kind of feel like we lost Peter a bit too soon, and I also feel because we had that big gap. I feel his era was a bit patchy, and it's such a shame because he was so good. It was so much potential there, but I'm glad we got to see a bit of it in series 9, was it? 10? I've lost track of where we are.
The latest one.
The latest series.
Just
9,
gone 10. Yeah.
Is it 10? Oh, yeah. I've lost track. I'm glad we got to see a bit of it in that. But I don't know about you, mate. Just part of me feels we just didn't get enough of the good stuff. Does that?
I think that's a shared opinion, mate. I think it's not his fault. I think he was just written, as we've said many times, he was just written very inconsistently across series 8 and 9, especially series 9. I mean, that was all over the place, pretty much. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think we should have had... I think Series 8, they really should have ironed out any inconsistencies. And then Series 9 should have been very strong. But for some reason, it wasn't. For me, it was the weakest out of his 3 series that he did. I think Series 8 wasn't perfect, but it was certainly... it kicked off in the right direction-ish. And then Series 9 wasn't great at all. But then Series 10, it sort of picked back up again for the most part. And we saw some brilliant stuff from him. So,
yeah, it's just funny seeing that pop up on the timeline the other day or something. It's like, 3 years ago. I know what it was. It was on Twitter. It's like 3 years ago today, Deep Breath aired. And I was thinking, 3 years, blimey. So he's already gone. You know what I mean? It just sort of brought it home that even in those 3 years, he'd already been and gone. And it just didn't feel like a long time, if you know what I mean. But yeah, like you said, at least they pick things up in the last series. So yeah.
So Capaldi's exit in the Christmas special, I'm wondering how far they're going to go into it before we get to the regeneration, because I'm hoping, because of that reason, because we haven't seen the best of Capaldi across all 3 of his series, I'm hoping that they make the most of him in the Christmas special and they don't sort of regen early. I'm hoping he's going to go through to pretty much the end, and then we're going to have a little bit at the end with Jodie. But yeah,
it sounds like it. Yeah, it sounds like it.
Because I hope so. Because the whole first Doctor, David Bradley, and I think they will be a really good team together. So I'm hoping we get the majority of the episode with those 2.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm hoping it's Capaldi central, because they are throwing a lot in there. I've seen some of the support casts that are going to be playing Polly and Ben as well. So I don't know how big their role in it, but there seems to be a lot going on. And like you said, I want him to go to have a good send off. So I'd like lots of Capaldi as well as all this other stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
but we shall see. A few months off yet. Don't
months.
get your Christmas scarf and woolies out yet.
Yeah, we are a few months out. So,
yeah.
Anyways, shall we land this old girl?
Yeah, land her, mate. News? Let's get into the news.
First up, our old buddy, Mr. RTD.
Yeah.
Old Russ.
Love this man. Love old Russ, don't you?
I love him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Old Russ. Quite fittingly, he's been awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh, wow.
At the Edinburgh International Television Festival. Or ITF. Whatever you want to call it.
I don't think I'd know what you meant if you said, "Oh, good old I." I don't know if I'd immediately connect that, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why I tried to acronym that, but yes, Mr. Russell T Davies has been he's bagged the Lifetime Achievement Award at the festival. So I think he got awarded something like this similar, didn't he? Is it last year or the year before?
I was thinking that, yeah.
He got something very similar at a different festival. I'm not sure. I don't think it was Edinburgh. It might have been somewhere in Wales. Somewhere in Wales or London, because he also did.
I can't think what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think he did a Q&A as well and did some other stuff there, which looked really good. But absolutely deserved. And Russell said that he's worked with Daleks, Casanova, with Gaze, Penelope Wilton, children's programs, documentaries, quiz shows. Worked in Cardiff, Manchester, all the different places. He also said he was a presenter on Play School, which I didn't know.
Was he? I didn't know that, no.
He's been to Norway. So he's basically like reeled off some of the stuff that he's very popular for, and also stuff that you wouldn't necessarily know. And he just closed it off to say that he loves his job, and he hopes this is like aimed at sort of younger people coming up through the industry. So he loves his job and hope that everyone grows up to get into the industry and that they love their job too. So that was alongside BBC One being named Channel of the Year. So obviously the two things are kind of linked. He did all the stuff with Doctor Who on BBC One, got his award. So this is really cool. I love it when people like the Moff and Russell T Davies and producing stuff pick up these awards, because I know it's not all about Doctor Who. You know, they're not getting this because of a Doctor Who thing. It's for their work in general as writers and TV and so on. But it does highlight the fact that we do have some of the industry's best people working on Doctor Who. So it's great when they pick up these awards and stuff. So big congrats to RTD for bagging his Lifetime Achievement Award.
I'm really pleased for Russell, because I'm a big fan of Russell, and I like a lot of his work, and he does, when you look back, like you said, at that list, there's things like that Casanova, which I've completely forgotten about. Don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's really good, starring David Tennant.
Yeah, it was good.
Just before he took over Doctor stuff, and so yeah, really well deserved, I think. Well done, Russell. Right, in other news, the Doctor Who Appreciation Society have got an amazingly cool signed script by Peter Capaldi up for auction, and it's all in behalf of the Syrian refugees in North London, which is very close to Peter Capaldi's heart. So this is really cool. So if you go over to the Doctor Appreciation Society site, you'll see some more information on how you can try and get your hands on this script. So it's a read-through script for listen, and basically Capaldi's, because he's a bit of an artist on the side, isn't he? He's always doing little doodles and drawings. I've seen lots of autographs where he's done stuff like this, but he's really gone to town on this. So on the front of the script, he's done an amazing, how would you describe it? Like drawing of the Doctor, obviously him as the Doctor, but looking very scary. I'd say almost looks like something out of a Tim Burton cartoon, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's a
like
really
a zombie.
cool drawing.
Almost looks like a zombie Doctor. Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously he's done all this writing and signed it Peter Capaldi and all that sort of stuff. So it's a great prize. I believe there are some other prizes on there, but this is the one that's Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's the main
related.
One. Yeah.
It's the main one, isn't it? So definitely worth heading over to the Doctor Who Appreciation Society website to try and get your hands on this, because it would be an amazing thing to have in your collection. I think you'd agree. I'd love to get this.
Oh, it'd be amazing. Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah, if you land on the DWA website, there's a big banner near the top where you can click and have a look at it. And then the actual auction itself is over on eBay, and there's a few days left. So if you're listening to this on podcast day on Friday, then you've probably got a couple of days because it ends on the 4th of September.
Yeah, I was going to say not too long, is it? But yeah.
And it's not cheap. There are some great bids going for it. At the moment, the bid is at 1,385 squids.
Blimey.
And there's been over 60 bids so far. So it sounds, I was going to say it sounds expensive. It is expensive, but it's for a great cause. It's and it's nice that it's one of Capaldi's sort of, like you say, close to his heart charities as well. So it looks amazing. It looks really, really good. And he's doodled everywhere on it, and he's made notes and signed it. I think it will be a great piece to have if you're this kind of collector. If you're the sort of collector that doesn't mind spending quite a few quid on the rarer stuff and the bigger stuff, then this is a great one to have.
It is. I've just like you. I've just clicked on the auction. There's some other great stuff in there as well. There's a 12th Doctor figure, and Peter Capaldi signed it and put a load of writing on the front of the box and stuff. And there's other little bits like Dwas Roundel badges and things. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Well worth heading over and have a look.
Indeedy.
Just to see. Yeah. Don't know if I've got a couple of grand spare, but man, I'd love that script.
Yeah, I have to start looking down the side of the sofa, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Might have to smash open my son's savings jar. He doesn't need it. Not yet.
No, that's going to rock it up there. That's going to be a couple of thou by the end of the auction. Sure.
At least. Yeah. There you go. You can get a signed script by Mr. Capaldi. That's going to do for news. As we said, quite light at the moment.
Yeah.
We have got one piece of merch though, which our Dalek friend is on. I can see him coming up the garden path at the moment as we speak.
He's getting quite popular as our Dalek Tat, you know. I've had a couple of people mention him in tweets and messages to me over the last week. So he's getting a bit of a name for himself, this guy. You better get him in. Don't tell him though. We don't want him getting an ego.
No, we don't. Let's get him in though. See what he's got.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
He's just dropped it and gone into reverse.
He's not impressed with this, is he?
No. One item on the tray. I can't stand this, but I know you love it.
I know. As soon as I saw it, I thought of you. I thought, oh my gosh, Gary's going to hate this.
I thought it was a completely daft and
I'm getting you one for Christmas, but yeah.
I thought it was daft and useless when I used this in the episode itself. And this is, I know you're going to get this. I know you are.
Well, I don't know that I am actually. It's weird. Go on, say what it is, and then I'll go into it.
Crikey. So if we remember back to a couple of years back, the Christmas special, what was it called? The Return of Dr. Mysterio. There was a scene where the Doctor's having a conversation with, what's the character's name? Her name was something.
Oh, God knows.
Yeah. And she gave him this little squeezy toy thing called Mr. Huffle. And it was like a truth and lie thing, or whatever. So that was the scene, and it was fairly ridiculous. But I think I'm quite surprised that it's taken a long time for this to materialise. And anyways, cut a long story short, you can now pick up a Mr. Huffle replica. Take it from there, man. I've got no interest in this one.
I knew you wouldn't. No, it's funny because you said, I bet you were going to get it. And funny enough, I think, because I remember when we reviewed the episode at the time, I liked that scene and you hated it. So I think if this had come out after, close to the episode, I probably would have been like, oh yeah, I'll grab him. He's really funny. But we're talking a year or two since the episode aired. They finally got him out, and I've completely lost all interest in it now. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking at it thinking, well, it looks rubbish. It looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
There is still. So it's one of those things. I think if it had come out near the episode, I would have been like, oh yes, grab me one of those. But I don't know. I don't have any interest in it at all now.
Yeah.
Because that just feels really out of date. I don't know what's taking them so long. Maybe they get copyright for it. So thing is, it's not even like if you want to get it in the UK, you have to order it from an Australian website, isn't it? Pop Culture. I think these are the only ones that got it in the minute.
Yeah, popculture.com, who are an Australian.
So they ship worldwide.
Website.
Yeah,
they do. They actually, I think they've got quite a good relationship with whoever the international shippers are and stuff, because they do advertise on their site quite a lot that they ship to the UK for low shipping costs and so on. But so they do, and they do stick all their prices. You can change it to pounds on their website as well from Australian dollars. So I think it's 12. Yeah, it's 12 quid.
Oh, it's not a bad price then.
Then with the shipping though, it takes it up to 20. So it's just over a few pence over £20 to ship to the UK. So it's not. I wouldn't pick this up for £1. Let alone pay 20 quid to get it shipped all the way from Australia. You must be mad. You're not going to order this for 20 quid, are you?
Well, I've seen, do you know what? I saw it come up on the merchandise site that we both love, and a lot of people were loving it. They were loving it. And as I said, I think I would have been one of those if it had been a year ago. But no, I don't know, mate. A lot of people seem to be loving it, so maybe they will. But I'm going to agree with you this time that, it's kind of had its moment for me as Mr. Huffle.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I saw it in the shop, like I said, if I saw it walked into a shop and saw it, I'd probably be tempted because you know what I'm like. But no, I'm not going to splash out 20 quid to get it from Oz. Yeah.
It is up. It's not available now. It's pre-order. It's not available until approximately December.
Oh, right.
And so from Pop Culture, so that's spelled pop and then CULTCHA. So culture. popculture.com.au.
Yeah, I've never ordered from them myself, but they are a website that's popped up many a time as I've been searching for over the years. I do believe they're pretty good, but I don't know. I've never ordered from them, but
yeah, they're apparently pretty good. But
yeah, I've heard they're good. Yeah,
and I would assume that it will pop up on FP International soon, and probably FP.com. You say you've seen it on there already, have you?
No, I haven't seen it on there already. No,
okay.
No, I just wouldn't be surprised. I don't know though. It's funny because there's a lot of things now, like the TARDIS lamp, the lava lamp, that there was a lot of interest in that, and you can still only order it from abroad. And some of these merch, especially if they're a bit specialized like this, they're not going to sell millions. I don't know. Maybe it won't. Because we seem to be sort of losing our grip on the merch side of things. So it's possible it won't pop up on UK sites. I don't know. Because that lava lamp still hasn't, and that's a lot more popular. So don't know. No. But yeah, if you want it, Pop Culture.
There you go. Mr. Huffle. Bloody thing. Right, buddy.
Right.
Jamie! What are we doing this week?
I thought you were going to do an Australian accent there, mate. No, we better lay off the accents because we get in trouble, don't we? Well, this week it's the Second Doctor's story, The Enemy of the World.
I don't know where you stand, Mr. Kent, but you and this salamander are obviously on opposite sides. That at least is clear. But which side is good? Which side is bad? And why should I interfere?
Well, you're the only man who can help save the world. But isn't that what Salamander's trying to do? Don't you understand,
just
Salamander?
a minute. Jimmy, you're unusually quiet. What do you think?
Well, to save the world, well, it sounds grand, but... Oh, we couldn't turn our back on a challenge like this, Doctor. Well, at least I know you wouldn't.
We don't know anything about these people.
Bastard saved her life and just wounded because of it.
Oh, but Jamie,
well, she didn't. She was.
Look, we're right about Salamander. It won't take you long to find out for yourselves.
Not long at all.
No.
Just 2 hours.
More than that, actually. Well, yeah. Nearly 3, and it's 6-part of this, isn't it?
It is a 6-part.
Yeah.
So it won't take you long at all, he said. Mm-hmm. The Enemy of the World came to our screens originally in 1967, Christmas.
Good Lord.
23rd of December. That's a cool time to have some Doctor Who on, isn't it?
Yeah, do you know, I just realised I didn't realise it went over the Christmas into the New Year.
Yeah, finished up end of Jan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Yeah, 6-parter. What day? 25. Yeah, 25 minutes each, roughly. And it was written by David Whittaker and directed by Barry Letts.
Good old Barry.
Good old Baz. Yes. Second Doctor, Jamie and Victoria, and a bunch of other people. Quite a big supporting cast in this one.
It is a massive cast, and all the way through I kept thinking, you know, trying to remember the names of all these guys, because you know how bad we are with names. I was thinking, God, who are all these people? And then another bunch come in later on. I was thinking, oh God, never going to remember all their names. But yes, a massive cast in this.
Yeah, and we have Troughton obviously playing two characters, the Doctor and Ramon Salamander, all that stuff. Yeah, so story's pretty simple. Hilariously starts with the Doctor wanting to have a bit of a skinny dip in the sea.
Brilliant at the beginning.
Yep.
Yeah.
I actually thought he was butt naked. I had to rewind it, but no, he's still got his long johns on, hasn't he?
That's right, yeah, because it's black and white. It's hard to tell.
It's hard to tell, yeah. And then they come across people wanting to kill them. The adventure starts. They find out that there's a guy that looks exactly like the Doctor, Mr. Salamander, who is a very... Come on to this later, but very James Bond-esque villain. And the Doctor and the TARDIS team get sort of swept away in this political corruption story with Salamander causing natural disasters, blackmailing other world leaders to sort of over. It's a very typical James Bond thing. It's like this evil sort of laughing villain wants to take over the world, basically. And it's very political, and yeah. What do you reckon to this one, mate?
Because it's a bit James Bondy. It's more James Bondy than Doctor Who, isn't it? It's quite an unusual Doctor Who story in a way, because there's no sort of alien or monster threat particularly.
No.
So do you know what? For that, for a lot of reasons actually, I quite like this one. In fact, I like it an awful lot because obviously this got this was missing for years, wasn't it? We only had like episode 3 for a long time, and then they found it and released it alongside the Web of Fear, wasn't it? The two came out together.
That's right.
Newly discovered, and it was amazing because for years we just had this part 3 on what was it called? There used to be a DVD set called Lost in Time.
Okay.
Or something, yeah. And so you could watch episode 3 for a long time, and just watching that standalone, not having any of the other story, I remember thinking it seemed really boring because it just seemed to be nothing happening in this story. If you judged it on that one episode, they're just in a kitchen for half an hour of it. So yeah, to finally get the rest of the story, it seems like a bit of a gem to me, because when it's all put into context, I think it's a great story. This one, I really enjoy watching it. It's really nice to see Pat, playing these two roles, and seems to be really enjoying it. It's 6 episodes. I would say it's a fairly decent pace. I didn't find myself getting bored at any point.
Okay.
So for me, it's I give it a big thumbs up. I'm just so glad that the rest of it got found, because just watching episode 3 for years on this DVD didn't do a lot for me, but I can quite happily sit and watch this 6-parter. I think it flows really nicely. So yeah, it's a big thumbs up for me, this one. What about you? Do you like it?
Yeah, I quite like it.
Yeah?
I quite like it, yeah. I like it a little bit more on a second viewing.
Okay.
I watched it last night. It was the second time I've seen it, and I liked it a little bit more. But yeah, just touching on, it doesn't feel, it's weird, this one, because it doesn't feel very Doctor Who.
No, it doesn't, no.
Not really. It feels like a classic old spy story. And we're probably going to mention this a lot, but it does feel like a really old spy, sort of George Lazenby type of Bond type of story, but just featuring the Doctor, if that makes sense. It doesn't feel like Doctor Who featuring, that type of story. It feels very weird. It's I think because there's 2 reasons for that. One, it's written and directed in a way that feels really sort of old Sunday afternoon TV. It doesn't have many. There's like the odd fight scene, but it's over in a split second. These scenes, it's just
there's a strange edit, isn't there? There's when they have a fight over a kitchen trolley at one point, and I did wonder what happened. It seems to suddenly cut to they sort of tell you what's happened rather than showing it on screen, which is quite strange.
That's right. So there's a lot of sort of guns being pointed, but then somebody just snatches the gun and the person holding it faints for no reason. Right. And that's it. That's the action scene done, or that's it.
Yeah.
So it feels kind of weird. But the other thing is Pat Troughton is in it a lot as Salamander, or Pat Troughton's in it a lot as the Doctor playing Salamander, but he's not in it very much at all, just as the Doctor. So I think that's another contributing factor as well, where it doesn't really feel like Doctor Who that much, because he's hardly in it as the Doctor. Like the beginning and the end, he is, but throughout the majority of it, it's just Salamander, which is not a bad thing because he plays that that additional character very well, very, very well. But yeah, don't get me wrong, I really liked it. It's it just doesn't feel very Doctor Who. Like if I'm in the mood for watching Doctor Who, which is admittedly a lot, it's not one that I automatically reach for, because I think it doesn't really feel. I would much rather watch something like The Web of Fear, or the War Machines or something. The
War Games.
The War Games, yeah. So it's because the War Games is very similar. It's it almost feels like when you have. I don't know if anybody else feels like this, but for me, when you have more than 4 episodes in Classic Who, it almost starts to feel like its own mini-series. It starts to feel like a mini-serial. And obviously the War Games is very much like that. Being 10 parts. So for this one, it does feel like it's like a mini-serial, of a kind of sci-fi story. It's got hardly any sci-fi elements in it, really.
No, not really at all, is it?
No alien stuff, no sci-fi stuff. It's almost pedestrian in a way, and it just happens to feature the Doctor. So, yeah, I couldn't remember if when he, because I've watched. I think this is the 3rd time I've watched it. So I watched it because do you remember all the excitement of when the rumours started circulating about this big launch at midnight on iTunes, and then there was going to be a physical copy later, and nobody really knew if it's true that they'd found these 2 things. But I think I seem to remember you stayed up to midnight, didn't you? I can't remember, but I remember you tweeting at the time stuff about this is actually happening, or immediately downloaded or something, didn't you? Am I remembering right? There was quite a big excitement about this whole midnight release for these. That's right. Oh no, I think you're thinking of the Underwater Menace.
Oh, am I? Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. This is going.
But do you remember when this was all kicking off, or was it before you got into Who? I can't remember now.
Well, I was into Who at this point, but I wasn't really podcasting or tweeting about it. This was back at the end of 2013 when they announced that they had found everything.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. It was quite a big thing. I remember there was, it was like a real big buzz, and no one could really believe it until it all went live at midnight, and people were downloading it and being like, "Gosh, I never thought I'd get to see like the Web of Fear and the Enemy of the World. I never thought I'd get to see these, because it was these were missing for so long. And where were they found? Nigeria, wasn't it?
Nigeria, of all places,
Nigeria,
in a television relay station storage room in Nigeria. I mean, that's just incredible.
So we never got to the bottom of why because one of the episodes of Web of Fear is still missing. I can't remember which one now, and we never got to the bottom of whether they found it and it was too badly damaged to use or whatever, but we never found out, because there's no extras on these at all, is there? They're
nothing
vanilla releases. They were sort of just put out. I think people thought they might do special editions of them later, but they haven't so far. But yeah, no, for me, I really enjoy this, mate. I think it's a good story. You are right. It doesn't feel like a Doctor Who story, but in the same way, it's one that I enjoy, a bit like Black Orchid. There's no sort of alien element in that, but if I'm in the right mood for it, I love Black Orchid. I know Peter Davison hates it, but but I love Black Orchid because it just feels a bit different, and obviously I do, just having more Troughton is always a plus point, because there's so much of his still missing. So it's good to get double Pat, if you like, in this. I do agree with you, though. I would have liked a little bit more of the Doctor, because the scenes he's in as the Doctor are really charming, like that beach scene at the start is brilliant. I love episode 1. We're actually on real location. Pat's just messing around, wanting to go to the beach, and Jamie and Victoria, are just like, what's he doing? It's a great scene. I don't know. Did you notice something odd about the TARDIS? Like the door, the door with the police box sign in it is on the wrong side, and also it's been painted over. I just think it's really weird. It's as if they put the door on the wrong side, but it's not even got the sign on it. It's all a bit weird. Next time you watch it, just have a look, because I kept thinking, what's going on with the TARDIS prop there? It's as if they've hastily put it together. Yeah, I don't know. I just wondered if you noticed it. It does look a bit odd. I'll have to ask Clayton Hickman next time I'm on Twitter. He'll know. But yeah, it's not right. It almost looks like the film's reversed, actually, because it's on the wrong side where the writing should be. Right.
Yeah, it's sort of whizzed by, really, because you don't see it. You see it at the beginning.
It's just
of
when they come
1.
out of it. Yeah, it's just when they come out of it. But it's weird. But the reason I mention it is because the writing is there, but you can barely see it, so it's not got the proper panel on it. I don't know. It's just something weird going on with the TARDIS at the start. But as it was on location, it may have just been like, they brought the wrong door, or a door that wasn't right. I don't know. Something's wrong with it anyway. But it's just lovely to see the TARDIS and those guys actually on a real location. I think I wish there was more location work in it, actually, to be honest. But yeah, but it's good. As I said, it rattles along at quite a nice pace, I think. Did you find yourself getting bored at any point, being a 6-parter?
No, not really.
No.
I mean, it's not a bad watch, as in you feel like you have to reach for your phone and like a wee bit. When you reach for your phone, start looking at Twitter or whatever. But for this one, I think the direction held it in just enough for you to keep you sort of intrigued, because it's one of those old classics where it's very simplistic in its direction and its, cinematography. It's just, it's as expected for an old sort of second Doctor story, where all the scenes are set up, you have the actors come in, the camera follows them around, you go on to the next one. There aren't any sort of experimental stuff going on. The only things that I would... so in terms of, story, how it plods along, I didn't really find myself bored at all, really. I mean, it's... I think because I was just waiting for the Doctor to pop back in and do something, it sort of kept you watching. But at the same time, I was really intrigued by his salamander character, because it's such a great contrast, because, as you mentioned, where at the beginning where the Doctor's going off for a swim and he's just very random and funny and, he's just not really sort of into doing much. He just wants to mess around for a bit. And then when we see him at certain bits as well, where somebody confronts him in the records room and he pretends to be Salamander for a little while. And, that's it, and Victoria goes to give him a backhander, I think.
That's right.
And then he sort of switches and he's like, no, it's me, So those little moments, they're really cool. And then in contrast, the Salamander character is he's just got that real sort of nasty, sinister vibe, he just nails all that stuff. So that was what kept me watching, that sort of waiting for Troughton to come back in as the Doctor, but also being intrigued by the Salamander character, but not really bored so much. And the direction was fairly standard, as you'd expect. So
yeah, it was okay. I mean, it was a little bit flat in places, but it's not too bad. It's fairly well directed.
There's nothing crazy going on, is there? It's just...
No, there's nothing crazy going on. And also I suppose if there was one thing that let it down for me, it would be the cliffhangers are quite dull.
Yeah.
It's surprising, actually, because for a story that's got so much going on, the cliffhangers are quite weak. That's the only sort of one of the few negatives I've got about it, really. Like when it ends, you're not sort of thinking, oh, God, how are they going to get out of that? Sometimes it feels like there weren't any cliffhangers really written into it, which is, not a bad thing, but it also, it doesn't make it like, right, I must watch the next episode now. Like, I don't know about you, but I watched it in 2 episodes each. So I watched 2, 2, and 2. So I spread it out over 3 days. So I could have watched 3. I just didn't have the time. But I just watched it in two episodes at a time, which worked really nicely, actually. I mean, I probably could have sat through all 6 quite easily. I don't think I would have found it too hard going. But it's just, because I was spreading it out over the week, I watched it in 2, which worked really nicely. 2 episodes a day.
Yeah, I watched all 6 last night.
Oh, did you? Okay, yeah.
And it wasn't too bad. Like I said, I didn't I didn't reach my phone and start drifting away or anything. It was, and that's mainly due to Troutman, really.
Although I do think the supporting cast are quite good in this on the whole. I was going to say we'll obviously get onto them in a bit, but I think overall they're pretty decent because they're strong enough to keep my interest in it when Troughton's not on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and talking of direction and stuff like that, I know it was very early days in sort of television making and so on, but it would have been nice to have seen a bit more Troughton playing both parts together on the same. I know there was. Do you know what I mean? Because we only had it at the end, didn't we? They have like a scuffle in the TARDIS at the end.
That's right.
But it would have been nice to have seen a bit more of a to-in and throw-in between those two in the same scene. I would have liked them to have confronted each other a bit early on in the story.
Yeah, because that's really good at the end, isn't it? And it's done really well for the time as well. The split screen is really good for the time, but it's very brief.
It's very brief,
Yeah, I think this is why I wish there was more extras on the DVD, because apparently there were more scenes of them together planned, but the camera jammed or something. According to Wikipedia, the camera jammed, and so the sort of planned scenes of them together in the same scene were kind of dropped, apart from that last one. So that's a shame, because I agree with you. It would have been great to see a bit more of the Doctor and Salamander on screen together, because that end scene's just great. It's just so brief.
It's really it sounds a real sort of ball ache to get those shots done as well. Just reading that same section earlier when I was doing some research on it, they filmed him in costume as the Doctor, and then they rewound. So they filmed it with him, and then they masked off the camera lens so you couldn't see half of the the screen. Then they rewound the tape. He went and got changed into his other costume, and then they filmed again, and they masked off the other side. And then so it sounds like that's what I mean. It's a real technical challenge to do that. But, the old BBC kit at the time, the bloody camera jammed, didn't it? So they, that shot to bits. But it worked really well, though. It's pretty much, I mean, we're talking back, when was it? 1960, at the end of 1967, when this was being made.
68, yeah.
And it's seamless. Although they've only got a couple of shots with them two in the same scene, it's absolutely seamless. It works really well. I'm just wishing that we've had more of that, because I think Troughton would have had a ball, going to and fro and, having these scenes where he's playing both characters in the same scene, I mean. So, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
I'd love to know if he enjoyed doing it, actually, because it must have been more, it's demanding more of him as an actor, isn't it? And also more of his time, like I said, having to keep getting changed. He's not got to wear the same costume. So I wonder if he enjoyed doing it. He probably enjoyed having something different to do, but whether he enjoyed the actual technical side of it and stuff, I don't know. Like you said, back then, quite difficult to do these things. It might have been quite stressful. I don't know. But that's why I said I'd love it if there was like a making of on this, to sort of get a bit more background into what it was like. Because, I don't know. It might have been, like you said, nowadays they could do that flip of a switch. It'd be so easy, but the effort they must have gone to back then to do it, it's something else, isn't it?
Yeah. So what did you think so there was another effect as well that they used in this, and I'm hoping it's an effect, otherwise it was done extremely well. But there was a couple of scenes where they were filmed just out in the park, like they're sitting on a bench or stuff like that.
Oh, that screen.
And it looks like the screen was a video playing of the background, the landscape in the background. But it was a giant screen that they were sitting in. So it was like a set, but with the outside shots on a big... that is a screen, isn't it? I'm not going crazy.
Well, no, you're not going crazy, because I had the same thing. I was thinking, what a bizarre way to do things. I don't think I've ever noticed that in Doctor Who before.
No, it's weird.
Yeah, it's like they're sat in front of a big... It's like they've got the set, and then behind it is a big cinema screen. With the action playing. But it's something very simple, isn't it? Isn't it like Jamie walking towards them down the path of the forest, and then all of a sudden he walks onto set. And
I'm wondering what the reason is for that, because they did do a fair few location shots, didn't they?
Yeah.
They could have found a park somewhere.
But also to go to that effort of showing him, like, he could have just walked on the set, would have had the same effects. Like they went to all that effort just to show him walking towards them.
Yeah, and the thing is, because of the technology at the time, the picture's not that crisp on the screen that's behind them. You can tell that it's a bit of footage that's being played, although it's quite subtle. There's no moving stuff going on. It's just like a few branches swaying, and you see Jamie walking up the path or wherever this place is. But it seems to me like if they've gone to the trouble of taking a camera out to a location to film that, why not just take Fraser Hines with them and just film him?
I thought the same thing. I was just like, why or just insert the film shot of him walking towards them and then cut to the set like they would normally. It is bizarre. I did find that quite a curious effect, if you like.
I'm glad I'm not, because I thought to myself, that is a screen, isn't it? I was actually talking to myself last night while I was watching it. I was thinking, I said this to myself before, but that is a screen. I'm sure of it. It's not. I'm not going crazy, but so some interesting some techniques with this and some pretty good shots as well. There's a scene where Salamander goes into this. They built this wonderful lift prop where it's like this big capsule that comes out and then it rotates and he gets into it, and then you see like this model shot of it going down all these levels down into the bottom of the earth, and that was really good. That's got that lovely sort of nostalgic Buck Rogers type of model shots, if you like. Those
it's
really
a nice model shot,
really, really old sci-fi programs that were on, like the Buck Rogers sort of thing, where you can tell it's a model for sure, but it's done really well.
Yeah, I like the model shot. I know they sort of keep using it again and again, but it does look nice because it's sort of they've put little lights on the model and stuff, and it's not just like a box. You can tell there's effort gone in. And also, like you said, that capsule he gets inside, I was thinking he looks like it. You can just imagine that would just collapse under the weight, because I don't know what it's made from, but it looks good, but it also doesn't look that sturdy. Like it takes forever to come into the room.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously someone's pushing it from behind, and then Pat has to sort of get into it. But it does, it does look quite good for the time. Yeah.
It does look pretty good, and I think it's more the sound effect. If they'd have muted the sound or overdubbed the sound, because when he's climbing up,
it's a strange sound, isn't it? It's like a phone or something. Yeah,
when he's climbing up the steps and going into it, you can tell it's big, hollow, MDF made.
That's it.
Stuff. So I think if they'd have changed the sound effect, maybe had like a metallic sound or something, would have been all right. But it looks wonderful though. It's huge as well. It's like a full size lift that they made, and it comes out on these little tracks and everything, and then it climbs in and then it rotates round, and that must have been whoever did like the set design and prop design, that must have been like their crowning piece of work.
It does take it takes about 5 minutes, that scene as well, doesn't it? Because he spends about 2 minutes shutting all the doors, about a minute switching off all the monitors, and then another 5 minutes for the thing to get in the room, and then he gets in it, and then we get that lovely model shot. And I'm not criticising it because it does work well, but I was at one point I was thinking, what's happening here? Because the sound effect goes on for quite a while, doesn't it? It's like it's almost like a reversing lorry.
There was one thing that was quite typically sort of naive about this story as well, which was just 60s sci-fi in general, I think, which was really funny to me. And that is, every time you needed to communicate with somebody, whether it was on a phone or a screen or whatever, you had to flick and push like a million buttons to get it to work. So under every sort of monitor, there was like a half a dozen switches, like, the big old those big old up and down switches that were made of, like, they were proper metal and stuff. They made really loud clunking noises. So when you wanted to speak to somebody, it was like beep beep, and it was like, come on. But that was just that's part of its charm, though. That sort of naive, people think because it's sci-fi, everything's really advanced, and you need like a dozen switches to get it to work. And it's just brilliant.
I was gonna say, because it's set in Australia 2018, so it's set in next year. So it's just really funny to think that, that's how they envisaged 2018, all these big television monitors and switches.
Yeah. Although we did see some cracking 60s, 70s decor in some of the rooms, like the
Salamander's Palace, for example, wherever it is, or wherever he's living. Yeah,
and also Giles Kent, the guy who we have the nice little twist at the end that he was actually working with Salamander. His place had some beautiful wallpaper and floral chairs and everything. It was, very much.
You never know. Everything comes around. That might well come back in fashion by 2018. You never know.
Next year could be a revival, mate.
Yeah,
crazy wallpaper.
Crazy wallpaper. I was going to say though, did you think? Did you just saying about the fact that we get a twist in his character at the end? That is one thing I liked about this story. Is I was never quite sure who was good or bad, even Salamander to a point, because when he goes down into that little basement, and then you see that he's got all these people kept down there, and he's like bringing them food, and you suddenly think, what's going on here then? Because I couldn't remember. I was thinking, because at one point I was thinking he was an alien. I really couldn't remember what was going on in the second half of the story. So I was thinking, is he good? Is he trying to take over the world for his people? And he's keeping I just couldn't remember what was going on. So there's quite a good little twist at that point where you get to see another side of his character, and he almost seems like quite a nice man in that scene, doesn't he? So he's been evil and poisoning people and killing people while he's on the earth. Then he goes down and he's got these guys down there that sort of worship him, and he's like bringing them food, and he's like, don't worry, we'll be able to go above ground soon and all this. And I'm thinking, maybe he's not bad, maybe he's a good guy. And then he's doing all this radiation thing, and you realise he's just tricking them all along. Then he batters poor old what's the name of that guy he takes to the surface?
Oh yes,
Badorin or something like that. Batters him. So you quickly realise he's not a good guy, but I like that. There's some good twists, and I must admit I didn't see the twist with Kent coming either.
No.
When it's revealed that him and Salamander were in it all along, I didn't see that coming at all. So I thought that was a good twist. So the things like that were enough to keep me sort of invested in the story, if you like.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. It's not really a boring watch because I think that's where it benefits from having 6 parts, because the character progression is really good from the very beginning, because you start to learn a bit more about Salamander, like you say. Is he just an evil tyrant, or is there a sort of more of a backstory to him, and he's not so bad, but then we find out he is really bad, and then we have the security guard, the head of security, what's his name?
The guy who's desperate to go with him.
No, the sort of, the guy with the oldest chap with the glasses.
Oh,
Bruce, is that him?
Bruce, yeah.
Yeah, so he's kind of second guessing everything throughout the story as well. He's working for Salamander,
and he turns out to be quite a good guy in the end, because at the first few sort of episodes you think he's this pompous, idiot, and he's quite sort of nasty and stuff. But once he realizes that he sort of, he almost feels like he's been sort of tricked into being a bit of this guy, don't you? He sort of realizes Salamander's not who he said he is, and he kind of comes good at the end as well. So that's, again, quite good.
Yeah. So you have these sort of character progressions, and they change as well from beginning to end. So obviously Kent, he changes towards the end. We have Bruce, the security guard. He starts off a bit of a meanie, but then we realise that he's kind of got his own reservations about Salamander, but he doesn't want to voice them because, it's not really his place, and nobody's got any proof anyway. And that's another thing as well. It's this great detective story as well. Everyone's saying, he's bad, we need to do this. And the doctor's like, well, no one's got any proof. All I'm hearing is you guys telling me he's bad.
Yeah.
But nobody can actually present anything to say, he definitely is. And that Bruce guy is pretty much the same train of thought. He's like, I've got my own reservations, but I've never seen anything bad. So, all that stuff. So that's what keeps it going, I think, over the 6 parts, is the character progression and how they interact and how these things come to light over the 6 parts. Because often I'll say that, this could have been a 4-parter really, or we didn't need that part. But I think this one, it benefits quite a lot because it does keep you guessing up to the 6th part. What's going to happen to Salamander? How is he going to get out of it? And when's the doctor going to intervene? And is Bruce going to, come good? And what's happening with Kent? So yeah, I think it's a very good character piece, if nothing else.
I agree. I think it works well as a 6-parter. The only thing I would say is I think they could have, the resolution could have been spread out better, because it does feel a bit rushed in the last part, and we don't really get to see a proper conclusion. So, for example, these guys that are being kept in this, underground, we get told that they've survived because it all blows up, doesn't it?
Right.
Salamander blows all the detonators underneath the earth. So we get told that they've survived, and she's like, "Don't worry, we'll get them out somehow. We'll do it." But that's it. We never see them again. I just thought, it would have been, if they'd have just spread the story out a little bit more, we could have got to see them being freed, and it wouldn't have taken much. Because I don't know, the ending feels slightly unsatisfying to me because you get Salamander drops out the TARDIS doors into space, and then it's left on a cliffhanger, which leads into the next story, which is Web of Fear, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know. It did feel a little bit rushed to me, the last part, and I think because you've got a nice paced 6 episodes, I think we could have perhaps filled them in slightly better and just had a bit of a cleaner ending, if you like, because a lot of it's still going on when they leave the planet. If you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's again a bit of a minor gripe. I just sort of kind of thought, well, we could have seen those guys because we slightly get invested in them, don't we, when we get to see them. And who's the guy who's desperate to come above ground? It seems like he's been wanting to join Salamander for ages, and then it's Swan that actually joins Salamander. It's Swan that gets battered to death. But there's another guy, isn't there? There's a young guy who's desperate to go above ground. So we get, and he's obviously got this, companion, this girl that's with him, and she's saying to him, be patient. He's doing his best, and so we get invested in the characters. I just would have liked to have seen them sort of actually get freed at the end, rather than just being told, "Oh, don't worry, we'll dig them out somehow." You know what I mean? Because it's 6-parters, we've got enough time to do it. So yeah, it felt a little bit rushed to me, the ending.
Yeah, I read you, and it does end quite abruptly as well.
So, it does, yeah.
So we do see on the screen that they've survived down in the research lab, whatever it is. But we don't, because I think at that point, what's her face says she's going to go and save them because there's like a tunnel that leads out to the park or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but we never see them do that. And then we have the scene in the TARDIS with Salamander and the Doctor. But then it just ends, doesn't it? There's not even the scene of the TARDIS dematerializing. There's none of that. It's just the credits roll and that's your lot.
Because what happens to all his henchmen as well? Like that funny, strange guy, Bennick. Does he get killed? Do we find out what happens to him? I've forgotten now. But there seems to be a few little sort of loose ends that are just left to get resolved themselves. I can't remember what happens to Bennick. Like the last bit I can remember is when he's sort of racing around trying to get them inside the apartment block in episode 5, I think. I can't remember what happens to him.
Yes, I can't. Yeah, we just don't see him. So
do you know what I mean? So there's a few little bits like that. I sort of thought, well, they could have been tied up a bit neater.
Yeah.
Over the 6 parts, I think.
Yeah, I read you. So there's that final scene with him where he just walks off with the huff as he normally does throughout the entire story, and then that's it. We don't see him again. So it does end very abruptly.
Yeah, he is very huffy, isn't he, Bennick, with his flat hair?
Yeah, that kind of strange bowl cut, weird, long at the back, very short for it. Just again, very of its time. Like
his costume don't do him any favors either. To be fair,
it's it and also it's a weird. He plays a weird character as well because you almost feel like he's in there because they needed somebody for the other actors to bounce off of, because he doesn't really play a significant role in the story as such. The only sort of bit that he's in it where he contributes to anything of significance is when poor old dinner taster lady, Faria, is it?
Oh yeah.
Is it Faria? She gets killed, doesn't she, in the street? She gets shot by one of the guards, and he's very, very cold-hearted, isn't he? When he finds her and.
Oh yeah, it's horrible actually. Yeah, because she's been shot and he's still like, "I'm gonna kill you," and she's like, "You're too late."
Yeah.
But it's quite nasty actually. Thing is, I like the actor Milton Johns because I don't know about you, mate, because I'm a couple of years older than you, but he used to pop up in all sorts, that guy. He used to, like whatever I was watching. So it was the Sweeney, Minder, comedies. Back in the day, it's just one of these actors that, because he's quite, he's got a look about him that's quite unusual, isn't it? He's sort of got these beady little eyes and stuff. So, he's quite recognisable. So I don't know. I like the actor just because he often played like the sort of nasty little stuck up twerp, and he's sort of doing the same sort of character in this. But I don't know. I quite like him, but you're right. He doesn't really serve much purpose. But I'm kind of glad he's in it though, because whenever he's on screen, I was like, oh look how here he is, throwing his weight around. I mean, he's as thin as a pencil. You could probably blow him over with one blow. Do you know what I mean? It's just, but here he is giving it all the old mouth, and so I quite like him in it. If I'm honest, as I said, I like the actor because I've seen him in a few things. But I suppose he doesn't really do a lot in terms of the story, really, apart from just being a piece of work.
Yeah. He's an interesting character. He pops up with the right hump about a lot of things.
Yeah,
throughout the episode, but doesn't really contribute much to the story. I found. Other than that one scene where he's a real beep.
That's nasty, that scene.
Really
I
nasty.
didn't like that bit, yeah.
Did you find that the actress who played Ferrier, Mary Peach, didn't you find that she looked exactly like the lady from the episode Midnight? You know, the lady who's operating the Tor. You know, the Tor lady who's operating...
I know you mean. It's not Mary Peach, because that's Astrid.
Not Mary Peach.
Could be Carmen Monroe. I'm not sure now.
Faria, Carmen Monroe. You're Carmen Monroe.
She did remind me of somebody. Yeah, I kept thinking I've seen her in other things. Bit like Milton Johns. I was thinking, I recognise her face, but I couldn't place her actually.
Yeah, sorry, Faria. Yeah, sorry. Because I thought, wow. So did her daughter grow up, and she's, in Doctor Who in Midnight, because they look really, really similar. Like really.
Right. Yeah.
But I thought, that scene, nasty.
A nasty piece of work, Milton Johns. He is good at being a nasty piece of work. He's probably one of these people that always plays nasty characters, but when you meet him, he's a really nice guy. Yeah. He might not be. I've never met him, but I'm just guessing.
Yeah, and he's had a really long career.
Yeah, he's done loads. As I said, he's one of those that just used to be in everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he used to pop up all the time.
Yeah. Let's talk about some... Actually, as we're talking about cast members and so on, what did you think to the people that were dotted around Salamander's headquarters or office, should I say? Because there's
another one actually that again, and you might be able to tell me who he was, because as soon as he came on screen, I was like, oh, I know that guy. And again, he didn't really do anything. Last seen sitting at a table eating some food, and he's got a very accent like this. And I was thinking, has he been in Doctor Who before? I don't know what the character's name is. Do you know the guy I mean? He's got the sort of silvery grey jacket, and he was just like, he didn't do a lot. I think he's only in the first few episodes.
Yes. Yeah.
Sat around eating food for a while, but I recognise him as well, and it was driving me mad. I'm just trying to find out who would have been there. Was it George Pravda? Yeah, that's him. George Pravda. So what else has he been in? Because he's a face I know.
Dennis. Yeah. I don't know, mate. I haven't seen him in...
he was in Thunderball, but the James Bond, but that's not what I'm thinking of. TV appearances. He's been in lots of stuff. He was in The Mutants. He's in The Deadly Assassin. That's where I know him. Yes. I knew that I recognised him from another Doctor Who story. Yeah, he was in The Deadly Assassin. There we go. It's the voice, you see. As soon as he started speaking with that accent, which sounds put on, but actually I think it's genuine. Have you got the picture in front of you? Do you know the guy I mean?
I know him. Yeah, his character was Dennis. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
He
was another one I recognised, but he kind of vanishes after a couple of episodes, doesn't he?
He does. Yeah.
Talking of accents, by the way, what did you think? The Aussie accents in this? They kind of, they're not very good, but I don't know about you, but did they sort of fizzle out through the episode? Yeah. I kept thinking, I'm sure they're not doing the Aussie accents anymore. Like they do it in the first episode, don't they? On the locations and stuff, but I don't know. I could be wrong, but I'm sure they're not speaking Australian by the end of the episode.
Yes, it does fizzle out. Sorry, at the beginning when they're getting chased by the dudes on the hovercraft.
Yeah, it's like, bro, so you're coming.
Yeah, you kind of think, oh well, they're trying to do an Aussie accent. I think that's Australian. And then and certainly by episode midway through episode 3 and 4, there's not an Aussie accent to be found anywhere. It's just defaulted back to, standard British, that stuff. So, that's really funny. I noticed that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was another dodgy accent as well. The guy who Salamander was blackmailing in the episode 2, the guy in the glasses.
Yeah, the one who gets poisoned.
Poisoned, yeah. He was, I think he was trying to be Dutch or
I don't know
Swedish or something, but
Swedish, possibly. Yeah. But he drinks that poison the fool. It's like, why would you know you've upset him? You're dealing with a mass murderer here. The last thing you'd do is accept a drink from him.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're blimmin' asking for it. The accent was a bit dodgy on that one as well.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we also there was also the guy. So the characters that I was going to mention, where there was the chef, who was kind of like the comic relief. He was like this guy that was a grumpy old. What's his name? He was kind of like a.
I like the chef. I thought he was quite funny.
Yeah, he was like a real grumpy, sort of cynical old thing. He was like, I'll probably fall over later. That kind of character. Where he was
Griffin, wasn't it? Griffin the chef.
That's it. Yeah, he was kind of funny. I liked him.
I did. Yeah, just added a bit of humour into the episode halfway through, didn't it? With him, just moaning about everything.
Yes.
It's a nice contrast to him and the lady you're on about earlier. The way that she's so serious and she's constantly trying to warn people what salamanders really like. Any opportunity that no one's around, she's like, he's a bad guy. Oh, someone's coming. No. All hail salamander. So that was quite nice because you got her trying to be all serious and he just added that nice bit of comedy in moaning about his soup and and stuff like that. Yeah, that's good.
And then we had the guy who was one of the guards. He was almost like a Laurel and Hardy type of, there was this guard that was, he sort of picked up on the fact that that Astrid had been in the park earlier, and he recognised her, went and grasped her up to Salamander, and he the slightly larger chap.
I know, yeah.
He was really funny because he didn't really know what he was doing. There was one bit where he was like, "Nope, this prisoner is not having any food. What's going on?"
Yeah,
and then Bruce would walk past and go, I make the rules, mate. You sort him out. And then he's all big smiles, like, would you like any salt and pepper with that, sir? And he just didn't seem to know what he was doing. 1 minute he was playing Mr. Bad Guy, and the next minute he was this bumbling fool, and the next minute he was just being beaten up. And I liked him as well. I thought he was funny.
Yeah, again, it's a nice bit of character in there as well. I'll tell you who I was disappointed in though is Colin Douglas as Bruce. Because I've seen him in other things, and I know he can be really menacing, and I know he can be a lot better. And in this, he just I couldn't put my finger on it, but he just doesn't seem to be giving much in performance. It's almost as if he's holding back. I don't know. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I kept thinking, I've seen this guy be really horrible, and I know he can play sinister. Even in what was it? Even in Heidi High, he played this really sort of creepy, slimy holiday camp inspector, and he was sort of going around sort of blackmailing people to get what he wanted. And he was horrible in it.
Yeah.
And, genuinely, you sort of thought, even though you knew it was a guy playing the character, you were like, God, he's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little bit disappointed in his performance in this, because I just thought, I know he turns out to be quite good, so maybe that's why he was holding back on the sinister side. But he's got the look with the black jacket and the glasses and the sweatband. I don't know. I just thought he should have been a bit more. I don't know. I just think he didn't give his all in this for me. I've seen him a lot better in other things.
He was better in Horror Fang Rock.
Is he in Horror Fang Rock?
Yeah, Ruben.
That's him.
Yeah,
I had not twigged that was the same guy.
Yeah, he's slightly better in that story. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I just know that he can. I know that he can do sinister and stuff, and I just thought he just seemed a bit, because as soon as he popped up I was like, oh, him, this guy. And he just seemed a bit, the way he says his lines as well is a bit weird. I don't know if you noticed that he sort of pauses on the words sometimes. Like, I was thinking, what's he trying to do here?
Maybe he was a bit trying something different, or he just couldn't remember his lines 100% or something. But I know what you mean, though. I thought he was going to be.
It wasn't bad. Yeah, it wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't bad.
Could have been better.
Yeah. What did you think to the combo then early on of Kent and Giles, Kent and Astrid? Because we sort of meet them two quite early, and they're in it throughout the whole story. Because again, we said we didn't see the twist coming. That was really good. But those two I thought were pretty good. I really like Astrid. Performance was okay, but I liked her character. I thought her character was a really cool kind of undercover, no messing around, because she gets into a couple of scuffles, doesn't she?
Yeah, no, I have to say, I thought both those guys were really good. So who was Astrid? Mary Peach, I thought gave a good performance because it's quite easy to go over the top when you're playing this sort of gun-ho, all, very strong sort of character. And I thought she played it really quite well, actually. So I thought she was good. And I thought Bill Kerr as Kent was particularly good. Seemed to be really taking it seriously and was great in scenes with Troughton, I thought, especially at the end where he flips and turns really nasty. I thought he was a particularly good actor, actually. Get that lovely scene where they're in the caravan with that classic line from Troughton, don't we, where he says, people spend all their time making beautiful things just for other people to come along and break them. And there's a lovely scene between those two. But I just thought he was a particularly good, because when you're working opposite Troughton, sometimes he just outshines the other person on the screen because he's so good. But I thought Bill Kerr was a good match opposite Troughton. So I thought they were both very good, actually. Yeah,
they were very good. I really liked Bill Kerr. There were a couple of scenes where he really goes for it.
Yeah, there is,
especially at the end where he confronts Salamander, and he gets found out, and the penny drops, and we know what he's about. He really goes for it, doesn't he? So I really liked his performance. And Astrid, I thought Mary Peach, but she was pretty good.
I thought they both stood out as being really good. I mean, the other cast were fairly strong, but I just thought they both stood out as giving really good performances. Those two.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. What did you think to Jamie and Victoria then?
Well, I feel a bit sorry for Deborah Watling in this because she, this happens a lot, doesn't it? She just gets shoved in the kitchen, whereas Fraser gets a bit more to do because he gets to do the whole fake bomb thing, so he becomes one of Salamander's sort of henchmen for a while, and that's really good. I like that because I didn't know what he was doing at the start when he throws his radio over the wall. Did you? I was like, what? What's he doing?
Was he?
Obviously pretending it's a bomb and all that. So Fraser gets a bit more to do, and he's very good as Jamie. It's a nice performance from him. He could have been in it a bit more. I think they're not even in episode 4, are they? Either of them.
They're on holiday, aren't they?
They're on holiday.
Weird. This was weird back in the day. Don't you find it strange? I mean, you'd never ever have that now that, Capaldi wouldn't be in a certain part of an episode because he went on holiday. You'd never have that now, would you? With contracts as they are.
Well, I don't know. It is a bit weird, isn't it? So they disappear for the whole of episode 4. But it's Victoria that I feel sorry for because she doesn't really get anything to do again, and she's a bit whiny, and and I love Deborah Watling, and obviously very sadly we lost her quite recently. So but I just feel sorry for her. She isn't given anything to do, whereas at least Fraser's given a bit of storyline, in terms of becoming the henchman, although he doesn't last very long, does he, before he's discovered, but at least he gets a bit more to do. And so I just feel a bit sorry for Victoria, really.
No, I agree, and it's one of those, it's a shame really because Fraser Hines is very good with Pat Troughton. You often find that not just like you say in this case, Deborah Watling, she does take a back seat because those two they work so well together that they get a lot of scenes written throughout pretty much every story where they're in it together. Those two are, because they bounce off each other really well, and so whichever companion gets a back seat to it really, and it's evident in this one because she does get relegated to the kitchen fairly early, which you pointed out, but I thought Jamie was pretty good. He had a couple of really good scenes. There are these moments with Fraser Hines where he just owns the scene. Like when not to the scale that Pat Troughton does when he comes on, but there are these moments where he gives like a little cheeky smile, or he's, you know, where he's having a conversation with somebody, and he really holds his own, regardless of what actor's there on the set and whatever scene it is. He has these moments where he does own it a little bit, and I love that about Fraser Hines. So
yeah,
just another example of him being really, really good. Just would have been nice again to see a bit more of them, like in the same way that I wanted to see a bit more of Pat Troughton as the Doctor. It would have been cool to see a bit more of them, because they do pop up, obviously with the exception of episode 4 where they buggered off, but they do pop up in every other episode, just in little nuggets, really.
Yeah, and then probably the best bit's at the beginning and end, isn't it? So lovely scene on the beach where there's, you know, Jamie and Victoria. I keep wanting to say Zoe. When they're just sort of, you know, on the beach together with the Doctor, it's lovely. And then at the end, when Salamander wanders into the TARDIS and they assume it's the Doctor. I mean, I have to say, come on. I was saying into the screen, you know, come on, Jamie. You know the Doctor well enough to know that's not him. Although it's quite well done, isn't it? The way Salamander's just doesn't speak, so it could be the Doctor. So, but yeah, apart from those sort of bits, you know, like you said, the rest of it's just little bits in between. So yeah, and there's a 6-parter. There could have been plenty for them to do, I think. But
yeah, I think
a little bit sidelined. Yeah.
And okay, Mr. Troughton himself then as Salamander. I mean, I think it's easy to review him as the Doctor because he's in it. I'm not saying that they just banished him from the script completely, but he's not in it. He's in it as Salamander way more than as the Doctor. So as the Doctor, just brilliant as always, really funny and zany in certain parts, but then also these quite serious, moments. So great as, with the Doctor, but I found him so interesting as Salamander. The accent was ropey a couple of times, but I think for the most,
a little bit, yeah.
But I think for the most part, he looked like he's having so much fun playing another character, especially someone who's. I think that's a common theme with. If you ever watch any special features on films or TVs where an actor has the opportunity to play a bad guy, like David Tennant absolutely loved playing a bad guy in Jessica Jones. So I think it's a common theme for actors where they get to just be nasty for a bit, and they get to really explore that fun, acting skill where they just, they don't have to be nice. They don't have to be liked or loved. They can just be as mean as they want, for a little bit. And it looks like he's loving that part of it. So, yeah, I really like him as Salamander.
I thought, I was going to say, I think it's good because obviously they don't do much in changing his appearance apart from sort of sweeping his hair across. So really the whole difference is in his performance. And yeah, the accent's a tad pantomime, but it's not, it still works enough just to make him different enough from the Doctor. And it's really nice. I mean, like the bit I love is the bit you mentioned earlier when the Doctor's pretending to be Salamander in front of Jamie and Zoe, because I just love the way when he falls off the chair and he just switches straight from one character to the other. And I thought that was really nice to see him go from those two performances in that split second, and you get to see the real difference, So I think he does a great job, and I do feel like they're two characters as well. Do you know what I mean? I don't sort of sit there thinking, oh, well, that's, it's a bit ropey. Well, it's the same guy, obviously. I do feel like they are two very different characters because of Pat's performance. So, yeah, obviously, with the costume and the swept back hair and all that. But I think he does a good job portraying two different characters. So he's quite sinister as Salamander. And I think that's, he gets a good line between just right and not too pantomime villain, if you know what I mean.
Yes. No, he does. The switch is it's quite unnerving in a way because just the expression on his face as well, everything changes and he's into that other character. So
actually, it's one of the few good cliffhangers in this is when there's a close-up of Salamander's face where he's just really angry, where he's worked out that someone's impersonating him. And it's just a shot of Troughton's face, isn't it? But he really looks like, I'm gonna, I'm really gonna sort this guy out. And I thought, quite sinister.
Yeah.
So,
is there anything you want to mention before we get onto our scores, buddy?
No, I don't think so, mate. I think we've covered it.
One thing I would say is there's hardly any music in this one. It does pop up at various points and then it drifts away. I think there was one episode there was no music at all apart from the last 2 minutes. I think it was episode 3 or 4.
I didn't notice hardly any music. I think there's a few bits of stock music, but I didn't notice music at all, really.
Yeah, I think it's just stock stuff.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, Enemy of the World. It's your turn to go first.
It is, isn't it? I'm going to rate this an 8.5. I think it's quite a strong story. So I was sort of around an 8, but I don't know. It's not a 9, but I feel it's sort of in the middle. So 8.5 for me, this one.
Okay, I'm going to give this one a 7.5.
Oh, 7.5, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a decent watch. Very much enjoyed it. I just wish there was a bit more character content from more people. But otherwise, a fairly decent 6-parter, really.
Yeah, and I think the ending, as I said, I probably would have scored it higher if the ending had sort of wrapped things up a bit nicely. When it ends, I feel like we're sort of still halfway through the story, and obviously then next week we're straight into Web of Fear, so nothing really gets properly resolved. So that would have sort of brought it up a bit higher, I think, for me.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. Rightio. What did our beautiful listeners think?
Yeah.
We got a bunch of audio clips in, so I'm going to go 2 by 2, like I've done the last couple of weeks. So this is going to be Lewis Palmer, followed by Sammy Satine.
Hello, Big Blue Box podcast. I'm on holiday in Ibiza at the moment, so apologies for any weird sound things like echoey noise and stuff or any background noise, but I wanted to take this time to record this audio clip for the Enemy of the World because I seem to be in the minority in that I don't really like it that much. It's one of those cases where I can tell something's great and I can appreciate the greatness there, but it's not my cup of tea and it's not one I would necessarily be drawn to in the future. Patrick Troughton is absolutely fantastic in it though, in the dual role, very ambitious for the time. It's got a great quote from him too. It's sad really, isn't it? People spend all their time making nice things and other people come along and break them. I really like that quote a lot, and he's just fantastic throughout the entire story, and I really like the beach scenes at the beginning too. Unfortunately, I just think it kind of drags. But as I said, I can understand that it is fantastic, and I can see why people would really like it. It's just not my cup of tea. It's not for me really, but yeah. See you later, guys.
G'day, Gary and Adam. Sammy Satine here. So, Enemy of the World. So the Doctor, Victoria and Jamie arrive at Bondi Beach only to be shot at because the Doctor looks like the evil salamander. I like Astrid. Victoria is so sweet. Jamie kicks butt. As to Patrick Troughton, well, it is an absolute credit to his acting abilities that he can pull off playing the Doctor, Salamander, and playing the Doctor pretending to be Salamander. I give it a 7 out of 10. A good story, but for me, not a story I'd rush back and watch. See ya.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, that's interesting. Normally, me and Lewis, we quite often agree about stories, so I did actually visibly gasp when he said he didn't like it. But yeah, I get what he means.
Yeah. Over on Twitter, Ashley Gregory says, one of my favourite stories. Silent Nerd C137 says, one of my favourite Troughton episodes. Love Salamander and the whole faking a nuclear fallout, keeping people in the bunkers. Is evil, 9 out of 10. Daniel Fox, if the Doctor hadn't fancied a dip in the sea, none of the Enemy of the World would have happened. Troughton's acting alone is a 9 out of 10. Old Theta Sigma podcast says there are several outstanding Troughton stories, but for me his double performance alone is a 5 out of 5. Fantastic.
Oh, cool.
Gallifreyan Hoovian absolutely loved this story. And Cindy Lou Hoovian said, my first Troughton episode and I really enjoyed it. Always fun to see how earlier sci-fi imagined our times.
Yeah.
Really loved Jamie, 8 out of 10. Let's crack on with some more audio clips. This is going to be James Coleman and then Joe Sweeney.
Hi Gary and Adam, here's my review of The Enemy of the World. So I think this was a great story with a lot of dramatic moments and good pacing throughout. I think Patrick Troughton's performance is phenomenal, especially that he has to play 2 characters during the story. It's good to see less of the Doctor, so that means you can focus on other characters during it as well. I think Salamander is a great villain, who's very sinister and powerful. I think Jamie and Victoria showed a good performance and had a lot to do. There's a good supporting cast, and I think Bruce is probably one of my favourite characters. And there's a nice twist at the end with Giles being the villain, which I never expected. My favourite scenes were probably in the underground facility where the people had to wait there for a whole 5 years. And it's good to see that you don't need an alien threat to necessarily make a story good. I think the music in this story was exceptional and probably film-worthy. I think this overall is one of my favourite Second Doctor stories, so I give it a 9 out of 10. Okay, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Hello, Guy and Adam. Hope you guys are well. The Enemy of the World is such a fantastic classical story, and it's one of Troughton's absolute best. And I like how the story is more of like an espionage thriller, like James Bond and Mission Impossible. I thought Patrick Troughton handled two roles so perfectly, as the Doctor, of course, and also as Salamander. And I thought Jamie and Victoria were also very good as well. They played because they played their part in the story, and I like how the whole story concluded. It wrapped up so nicely. So overall, a fantastic story, and I will give a score of a 9 out of 10. Hope you're enjoying the podcast, guys. Be soon. Take care. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you very much, guys.
Interesting, because the first reviewer said about the music, which we didn't really know. And Joe said that it wrapped up perfectly. Yeah. And I was sort of thinking, that's two things we sort of picked up we weren't sure about, but interesting.
Good points of view, though. Let's nip over to Facebook. Adam Mamoon, Adam the Whovian, says a great espionage story with Troughton being brilliant as the Doctor and Salamander, and even the Doctor pretending to be Salamander. Sportcast were very good. Fraser Hines doing having a good part to play in the whole story. Slickly directed as a 6-parter. Doesn't feel like a slog to sit through. 9 out of 10.
Okay, cheers, Mamoon.
Very much agree. Doesn't feel like a 6-parter to me. Let's have a look. Kevin Mullen says, like many, I'd only seen episode 3 when it was released as part of the Lost in Time DVD set.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah.
And thought it was incredibly boring. When Enemy of the World was finally released, complete, I was astonished at how brilliant it is. Troughton's absolutely on fire in the dual role. And a few things are poorly thought out. The underground survival chamber, but they don't detract from what is a very strong storyline. 9 out of 10. Jeff Waddle, very good, but not brilliant. It's a bit of a mishmash of ideas, so they struggle to do things well with the budget. Hence the guarding of what's his name in the corridor.
Yes,
it's very easy to get through. It's very easy to get through security to one of the top men in the world. Yeah, it's very true. The Doctor not willing to act until he knows what's going on for sure. It never stopped him before.
I did think that. Yeah.
Yeah. The chef is funny. Troughton is great in his dual role, and it's like the woman with the pram wandering around aimlessly cracks me up every time. It's like a Monty Python scene. Oh, do you know what he means?
No.
There was a few times where there was just a woman with a pram just walking around in the set. And most notably when they look out of one of the windows and they look down at the guards on the roof. You know, when the guards are chasing Astrid and Jamie and so on up into this big sort of block of flats, it looked like. When they're looking out down into the floor area, there's like 3 guards and a woman just pushing her pram up and down.
Notice that. I need to have a look for that.
Yeah, it's funny. He goes on to say it worked as a one-off. No aliens, but you could do that every week. As he says, very good. 8 out of 10.
Cheers. And Jeff's still angry about Nightmare in Silver.
He's still very angry.
You posted saying still angry.
Yes. Yeah. Let's do these final 2 audio clips and we're going to final few on Facebook. This is Martin Arnold and then Owen Daly.
Hello, TARDIS travellers. Hope you're doing well. Enemy of the World, brilliant episode. It's got such pace, and it's just so exciting, you know. I love that kind of Jerry Anderson sort of spy vibe. It's not a story that I think would be out of place in, bizarrely it might seem, Captain Scarlet or something. It's got that, you know, funky retro future kind of feel with all the different zones. And characters like Astrid with a, you know, high-length boots and everything. I mean, it's proper 60s sort of super spy, you know, almost science fiction kind of going on, you know, with Salamander's strange base of people doing his earthquake work and so forth. That was a strange little twist. I didn't see that coming. Excellent stuff. My only real criticisms are that I wish there had been more of the Doctor in the actual episode, but obviously they gave a lot of stuff to Salamander and a lot of work for Patrick just doing that one role, which he does brilliantly. And the other complaint is the ending. The ending is really, really abrupt. They're minor complaints, really. It's a fantastic episode, all the way to Gallifrey for me. Thanks very much.
Hello, Gary and Adam. Hope you're both well and enjoying the show this week. So, Enemy of the World by David Whittaker. Now, David Whittaker and I have a bit of an on-off relationship. I like some of his stories and I don't like some of his stories. But this story I love. It's Doctor Who does James Bond with Patrick Troughton playing a dictator. Like, what isn't there to like? He nails Salamander down to a T, and it's so amazing how just like a swipe of the hair and different accent on the second Doctor, and he's just a completely different character. And I think that proves why Patrick Troughton is one of the best Doctors and best actors in the show. It's great having Victoria in the story because it's such a pity Deborah Watling, most of her stories are missing. So it's great that we have a full story now that was recently recovered. I love the scene at the very start with the Doctor on the beach who, when he goes for a swim, it's just classic second Doctor, and overall the story is just solid, whole, and just great to watch. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Thanks for listening and enjoy the rest of the show.
Cool.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you very much. Right, back over on Facebook, Mr. Dean Jones says Doctor Who meets James Bond style thriller. Terrific music, great characters and performances, especially from the ever excellent Patrick Troughton. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Wow. Cheers, dude.
Joseph Howarth. Why was this story taken away from the archives at the BBC? It's so brilliant. It's not exactly within the same genre that Doctor Who is normally in, but it's such a good story. The highlight for me is definitely Griffin the chef, because wherever he opens his mouth, it's just comedy gold. He gives it a 9 out of 10. My good friend, Mr. Nick Gill, says, I love this story from the time I viewed the then isolated episode 3 on the Troughton Years compilation VHS set in the 90s. The acting is spot on, with Pat playing 2 roles and Victoria and Jamie have more to do in his story than usual. However, had all the episodes not been deleted from the other stories of the season, I have the feeling this would have probably been viewed as one of the weaker stories by critics. Don't care about that, just love Pat's Doctor and love that we have it complete in the archives again. Very true. Aaron Ball says one of the best stories of all time. Salamander is a brilliant villain, and his return in the 3rd doc for Titan Comics is a great choice. Patrick stands out as one of the best and shows why he is the best Doctor, and Jamie and Victoria do a top job. Very happy it was found. Here's to more second stories being found. Second Doctor stories being found. He gives it a 12 out of 10. Crikey.
Wow.
Ryan McGivern says, a very tense drama with a brilliant played dual role by Pat. Bill Kerr was also brilliant by being a two-faced villain in a twist I didn't expect. Leslie Shergold, one of the best ever. Great double turn for Troughton. Such a shame that the DVD is devoid of extras. 9 out of 10.
Yeah, true.
And lastly, Morgan McCandless says, what can I say? It's completely and utterly brilliant. And he left a really long comment, so I can't read the lot, but he goes on to say how great it is. He doesn't give it a score. So, but from his comments, I can tell that it's probably going to be a 9 or a 10. So that was Facebook. Anything on the Geek's Handbag?
Yes, had a few on Geeks. So Jason House says, not your typical Doctor Who story, which makes it one of the best. Troughton is amazing as ever, but jaw-droppingly great as the villain. He also said he enjoyed the Target novel, which was written by Ian Marter. Oh, I must dig that out. He gives it a 9 out of 10. Charlie Turner, wow, talk about one of the best Doctor Who stories of all time, he says. Well written, well performed, well everything. One of his personal favourites, he gives it a 9.5 out of 10. Ooh, so close to a 10, Charlie. Paul Olivo says, one of those stories I dreamed of seeing after reading the novel. As a boy, I was gutted to find it was missing shortly after reading it. When I found out it had been found, I thought it was a wind-up. I wouldn't believe it had been located until I was actually watching it, and I wasn't disappointed. Troughton turning in one of his finest performances twice, and a beautifully written, executed story. Bradley Willard, although there's an awful lot of padding in the middle and the ending, which is slightly anticlimactic, he thinks Enemy of the World is a pretty good story. He says Troughton gives an outstanding performance playing both the Dr. Salamander. Half the time he forgot they were the same actor because the performance was so different. He gives it an 8 out of 10. Callum Johnson, a perfect story. Troughton's acting really shines here as he gives not one but 2 amazing performances with an equally great story to back it up. Callan gives it a 10 out of 10 and says it's a classic. And finally, Elliot Beasley sent me a fantastic review on Twitter, and he just makes some really good points. So it's a really long review, so I'm just going to get to some of the great points he tells me about. So he says, when he met Fraser Hines, he got chatting to him for a good 10 minutes. And one of the things they talked about was Enemy of the World. I said how much I loved the beach scene at the start, and he told me that most of it was improvised by Patrick Troughton, in particular the bit where he dives in the sea. He said that before its recovery, many people didn't agree with him that it was great and the monster-based Under Siege story surrounding it, but now that opinion's changed because the whole story's back. He says, interesting fact for Sami Satine, The Enemy of the World is the only televised story to take place in Australia, unless you count the brief visit in the pilot. So that's, I didn't know that. Cool. So overall, he says it's an absolute classic. He gives it an 8.75 out of 10.
Very precise.
Very precise. So thanks for your review, Elliot. That was really cool. And that was it for the Geeks Handbag lot.
Great stuff. Thank you so much, guys, for all your comments. Very, very cool. And those guys that sent in the audio clips as well.
Yes.
Awesome sauce. Now, next week, fast forward into the 12th Doctor. What are we going to do next week, buddy?
Yeah, so there's been a couple of 12th Doctor stories that we didn't review at the time, and we're now on to the final one. So next week, we're going to be reviewing The Caretaker, which will mean we will have then reviewed all the 12th Doctor stories. Awesome. So that finishes off our 12th Doctor era. So next week, The Caretaker.
Caretaker. Nice one. I think we're going to do there, mate, for 155.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us and listening to episode 155. We broke over the 150 mark.
Yeah, rolling.
We'll be at episode 942.
Wouldn't that be weird, won't it, when we get to welcome to episode 1800?
I think the world would have been bored of us by that point.
Just be brains in jars by then, won't we? Cryogenically frozen.
There'll be some AI program that will take all of our podcasts and be able to nick sentences and put a whole show together.
Yeah.
Troughton style, with many switches involved. Anyways, thank you so much, guys, for listening and for sending in your thoughts and reviews for The Enemy of the World. Pretty decent score. Roughly a 7 point. No, roughly an 8. Overall, I would say. Quite a few 9s. But
we had a few 9s and 10s,
Yes. Next week, The Caretaker. Back to Capaldi. That's going to be good. So give that a watch, because we'll be asking you for your reviews and thoughts on that one.
I was trying to think what's about.
I
can't remember it.
He works.
It's the Scovot Splitzer.
Scovot.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he's looking very Ghostbusters-esque.
That's right.
Yeah.
I've just remembered, yeah.
Head over to the website, www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of our previous shows on there, plus you can link off to all the social stuffs to give us a like and follows. And you can also subscribe to the show on iTunes and most of the other podcast networks. If you're an iTunes subscriber, if you could drop a review and a like, that would be amazing, because that really helps us loads. Head over to Adam's stuff, The Geek's Handbag. Just give him a like and a sub over on YouTube. Plus he's on Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff.
I'm everywhere.
He's everywhere. In the middle of nowhere, some might say. Yeah, go and give Adam a sub. Loads and loads of good videos on his YouTube channel. The quality is outstanding. Thumbs up. Anyway, we'll be back next week with 156. Until then, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember, Lozzie!